Thank you very much. Following up on that, is our southern border a national threat? I've only seen it in your report one time.
Yes, absolutely. The border security is a threat. We do call in the report for additional funding across the agencies of national security, including DHS, which has the fundamental responsibility for the border.
Yeah, 80,000 Chinese coming across the border in the last 9 months. Is that a threat? That's a pretty good threat, isn't it?
It's a potential threat, sir,
Yeah,
yes.
huge. I don't understand why we're not talking about it more. Fentanyl, I saw a report the other day where you can order fentanyl from China and make it at your own house. You can order it, be delivered, and make millions of pills without any repercussion. I mean, we've lost our mind. We're losing our kids. You're talking about education. I spent 35 years in education, and your report mentions changing our military standards. Is that correct? To take more young men and women in the military?
Part of what you hear from the services when you talk about the recruitment challenges they face under Tuberville is that some of the standards are no longer really relevant, and some of it's an artifact of
such as
childhood asthma, for instance. You know, is that something
flat feet? You know, that's a lot of people got out of Vietnam because of flat feet.
Yeah.
Right?
So the question is, do you continue to use those standards, which are screening out people who might otherwise be willing and ready to serve, or do you change it? Some of it's a function of the changing tracking that we have in medical records that allow things that wouldn't have come up 10 or 15 years ago to block somebody from service, and that's, I think, what we were talking about.
Well, what's hurting us too is a lot of our government schools. I call them government schools because I went in thousands of them while I was coaching recruiting. And the problem we have is hate that's being taught in a lot of our government schools towards our country. Why would any young man or woman want to fight for a country that they don't believe in, that they're being taught to hate? It's absolutely amazing to me, the direction this country is going. So is there any agreement there, Representative Harmon? I mean,
yeah, there is agreement there.
Yeah.
I think hate on both sides is totally destructive. I think the absence of civics education and the absence of institutions that help people understand what patriotism means. We had a conversation about national service, which might be a way to get all of our youth back together. I mean, this country, sadly, is in a point where many people say our biggest enemy is us fighting each other. I was just going to talk about standards. One of the problems is the kind of deployments the military does, every 2 years moving somewhere, where in many cases the spouse works and having to change his or her job every 2 years is very burdensome. It's also hard on kids, and so that could change. And we talk about incorporating more of the tech base and the tech skills into the work that our military does. I mean, after all, future fights, we were just talking about this, are in more domains. They're in cyber and space, not just in air, land, and sea. And so if we don't have the skill sets to fight those wars, we're going to lose.
Yeah, because we don't have a middle class. We're ruining our middle class. We're technical schools. All these kids we tell, hey, you got to go to a 4-year school to get a job. We all knew that when we grew up. That's what we're told. But now that's not true. Well, a lot of these kids go to school and their way's paid, and unfortunately they get some kind of social justice degree, and they can't get a job at Walmart. We have got to start training our kids again. We're losing the ball here. I mean, this is where, to me, that's a national security threat where we don't teach kids how to use their hands and do those things. Let's go to Ukraine real quick. We got to get out of this, right? I mean, this has got to be solved. Do we let Ukraine into NATO? Your thoughts?
NATO has already made the decision back in 2008 that Ukraine at some point will be in NATO. I mean, that's a decision that was taken under the George W. Bush administration, in which I served. I think the alliance, the just completed summit of the alliance, has made clear that while there's an ongoing conflict in Ukraine, it's probably not appropriate to have Ukraine be a member, but The alliance has undertaken a series of actions, and the U.S. bilaterally with Ukraine has undertaken a series of actions to build a bridge towards Ukraine's potential future
So with that
membership.
being said, should we allow, with the new government in Mexico, Mexico join BRICS? Should we allow that? Because it's coming. It's coming.
I don't, Senator, I don't know that we have any ability to, the BRICS is an organization which the United States is not, a party to, so I don't know.
I'm just asking your opinion, because we're doing the national defense strategy, and we're going to be looking down the barrel of a gun on this because they're going to be on our border. You just said that, NATO was going to accept Ukraine. Should Mexico go into BRICS if offered that position with the new president they have?
The BRICS is actually kind of an invention of Goldman Sachs. It's not really a serious military organization of any sort.
As we speak, it is coming, though. With India joining, with Iran joining, Saudi Arabia joining, it could be a threat. Thank you, Mr. President.